welcome everybody. My name is Tommy Gilmore with Noisy Bird Digital Marketing, and today I am joined with Jennie Hendricks from Prestige Realty. I'm excited to chat with you. If this is your first time watching, Spotlight Southern Utah is a weekly podcast here where we talk to another business owner right here in Southern Utah. So Jennie, I'm excited to learn about what you do and chat with you for a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm grateful for the invitation. Thank you so much.
Of course.
It's exciting.
Yeah, so Jennie, you've been in real estate for how long?
I have been in real estate for 27 years.
Wow.
And I know that because I was pregnant with my daughter.
Oh, okay.
When I first got into real estate in 1998.
So it makes it easy to track then.
It's easy to track, exactly.
That's awesome. So you've been doing real estate a long time, and now you've become a broker. Is that right?
Yes.
So walk people through the journey that you've had in real estate and any other entrepreneurial journeys that you've had.
Sure. So I got started in 1998 as a just realtor licensee at a local brokerage that actually doesn't exist in the area anymore. And I worked for several different brokerages for a number of years. And in 2005, decided to open up my own shop. And so I actually bought a Century 21 franchise. And so in 2005, we opened in a little office across from North Elementary on 200 North. And we were just so excited. And I also, about 2 years after that, started my property management company. At the 200 North office, I had the real estate office and the property management company. Well, we got too big for having all of those people in one spot at the little office on 200 North. So I've got my real estate office now downtown Cedar City on Main Street, and we just absolutely love being part of the downtown. And then my property management office is still on 200 North. Just recently, I actually started managing short-term rentals. So we've got a real estate division, a property management division, and we also do short-term rentals.
Very cool. So you guys, if it has to do with a house, you've got your hands in it somehow.
One-stop shopping, right?
That's awesome. So you've been doing this a long time, and then you've been at this brokerage, it sounds like, since 2005. But you were telling me off camera you guys are going through a bit of a transition.
We are in the middle of a rebrand. As of the end of March of 2025, we are no longer affiliated with Century 21. I decided not to renew my franchise agreement. We are now an independent boutique brokerage called Prestige Realty.
That's awesome. So I guess for those of us, and I include us because I probably don't know what this means either, what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of being part of a bigger franchise, and what made you want to go in a different direction?
Great question. So back in 2005 when we started, I did not have a lot of name recognition, hadn't been in the business for a really long time, and so I felt like associating with that brand really created a good deal of instant credibility and trust with people, because people really recognized and trusted that Century 21 brand that had been around since 1971.
Oh wow.
Century 21 started in 1971. So back in 2005 when we started, I felt like that was a really great way to connect with the community and build that instant trust and name recognition. And I am grateful for that affiliation that we had for the last 20 years. It really was very, very good. What's happened with my business in the last maybe 5 years or so is we've really begun to develop our own brand. We've done a lot of marketing, lots of social media, YouTube channel, and being a part of the franchise was really expensive.
Okay.
The franchise charged a monthly fee, and then they took a piece of every transaction.
Okay.
And it got to the point for me where I felt like we were really generating a lot of our own client base, and I was not relying on that Century 21 brand any longer to create the trust and the relationships with our clients. And so when it came time to renew our franchise, I decided not to. And you asked specifically about the pros and cons. So the pros is that in the beginning, just really creating that instant visibility and trust. The cons were it's a lot more expensive.
Yeah. So you're getting, like you said, that trust, that brand recognition, because Century 21 is nationwide.
Yeah.
And so you're getting that, but at the cost of, hey, you're gonna pay for our name.
Exactly. And so what we sort of evolved into is a lot of our own marketing. We really have a niche in the Cedar City and Bryan Head markets. And I feel like people now recognize our brand, my own personal brand, and we've built that trust with our client base individually. And so now we are a boutique individual brokerage called Prestige Realty.
That's awesome. So you're making a big change now. You talked about the last 5 years. Where do you guys see yourselves now in 5 years with these big changes, and what has the door kind of opened up into?
Yeah, so it's really allowed us to focus more on the way we want to operate our business without having sort of the corporate structure that we had to operate in. So over the next 5 years, it's really all about growth. Growing our client base, improving our systems constantly, and growing the property management side. And then also there's really some great opportunity to grow the short-term rentals. So for the next 5 years, we're really focused on growth, perfecting the systems, and of course, in what we do, it's all about taking care of our clients, that customer service.
I love that. I think that it's cool to hear, hey, we're taking this big step, but here are all the advantages that not only we get, but our clients can get as well. They get to be part of our journey. They get to help us continue to perfect our systems beyond even what could have been done in a corporate structure.
And this is really, everything that we do here is really through the lens of how do we serve our clients better. So how do we improve our technology? How do we improve our systems? And sort of stepping away from that corporate structure allows us to be very flexible, very nimble. If we need to pivot, we can pivot. If we need to try something new, we can absolutely do that. It's just been really fun going through this rebranding and setting our own direction. It's been really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the future a little bit. I want to go into the past for just a second.
Okay.
Obviously, the last 5 years have been crazy for real estate.
Yes.
With COVID and interest rates going crazy,
Yes.
ups and downs for people. So what's been the biggest challenge for you guys in navigating the last 4 or 5 years, and what do you feel like you've been able to do to overcome that and do it successfully to the point that you're like, hey, we don't even need a corporate structure now?
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge that we have had in the last 5 years has been responding to the market, because you're correct. It just has been like whiplash. During COVID, everybody knows that there were multiple offers on every single listing, and it was just a super competitive environment for our buyer clients, and also helping our seller clients navigate through that, trying to kind of work through 5 or 6 offers on one property. Like, what is the best fit for that particular client's goals? It was really challenging navigating that crazy, crazy hot market. And then, of course, last year we saw interest rates go really high. Well, I don't want to say really high, because when I bought my first house in 1993, my interest rate was over 8%.
Wow.
So it's all relative, but the affordability factor really is something that came into play when those interest rates shot up. So after that wild ride, during COVID, now we're dealing with buyers who are just, maybe the affordability factor has just pulled them out of the market. So what do? Some of them we were able to put in a rental until they were able to make that leap into home ownership. And just as an aside, I do recommend purchasing a home as early as you possibly can and let that equity start working for you. You're always paying someone's mortgage. Okay, we can go back to that soapbox later. Anyway, so that was a very interesting and abrupt transition. That was about the same time that we really started to do a deep dive into our own marketing. And that's really when we started getting on all of the socials, on Facebook, on Instagram, started our YouTube channel, which has been really, really fun and has helped a lot of folks kind of get familiar, not just with us, but with the area and the inventory that's available. At this moment in time, we are talking, we've seen another little bit of a shift in the market, and we now have more inventory back in the market than I have seen since 2018. So I do a weekly market update. So I've got statistics going back to 2018, and the level of housing inventory that we have right now in this area, we haven't seen since 2018. There was a time during COVID when in the Cedar City and Enoch area, we only had 56 homes available. I mean, it was absolutely nuts. Now we've got over 300. And so we're seeing this other little shift in the market where buyers are finding themselves having access to a lot more choice in the market, and sellers are kind of having to rethink, do we want to be at the very tippy top of the market, or do we want to be a little bit more competitive? So we're kind of right in another transition here.
So do you feel like then it's just based on what you're saying, is it more of a buyer's market or is it more of a seller's market? Because I'm hearing you say there's advantages for both parties right now.
There's always advantages for both parties, and here's my advice. The best time to sell and the best time to buy is when it is the right time for you. Do not try to time the market, you'll tie yourself in knots.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing right now is actually transitioning into more of a balanced market than we've seen. So there are advantages to sellers and to buyers right now, but I'm seeing a better balance in the market than I have in years.
Yeah, because I know during COVID, like you're saying, it was really a seller's market. And then the last, probably year, I've been hearing, it's more of a buyer's market now. And it sounds like you're saying, it's a lot more evened out.
Yeah, a balanced inventory, we typically have maybe between 4.5 to 6 months worth of inventory in the market. And we're approaching that 4.5 month mark.
Gotcha. So that's a good thing then. That's awesome. Yeah. And, especially because here in Cedar City, like you said, it's a growth area.
Yes.
Lots of people wanting to move here, which
we have
positives and negatives.
Yeah.
But I think it's great for people that do want to buy or sell to know, hey, it's tough to time the market, but there's going to be advantages and disadvantages here in the next 3 to 6 months.
There will be, absolutely. And hopefully, everything I'm hearing in the industry is saying that probably towards the end of this year in 2025, interest rates are predicted to start coming down. I mean, you hate to predict that kind of stuff because the political landscape has inserted itself really heavily into those Fed rate discussions and bond market discussions. But I'm hopeful that maybe towards the end of 2025, we'll start to see those interest rates come down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and so to pivot a little bit, you talked a lot about marketing for your business. It's been a crazy while, and you're out there trying to educate people through your marketing. What has been maybe a challenge that you've had to learn or something you've had to grow from in part of that marketing process the last few years?
So it has been a really interesting learning curve. And anybody who does video type marketing is going to understand this. You go and look at your early videos and they are the cringiest, most awful things that you could just ever imagine. And so about 5 years ago or so, I decided to pivot to more of the video marketing. I actually hired somebody specifically to come into my business and help me build up my social media presence, the YouTube channels, and really start telling the story of our brokerage, our community, what we do, what we're really good at, and how we can best help people who are either coming to the area or want to, sell or buy, helping to build the brand for the office, build awareness of the community and all the fantastic things that are here, and then just kind of tell the story of what we can do and how we can help people accomplish their real estate goals. So I will tell you that figuring out that marketing piece and that video piece, it was really a steep learning curve, and no one likes to see themselves on camera. You watch your own videos and you just go, oh my, that is like what?
Yeah.
But that has been such a tremendous asset for my business, is being able to really connect with people that I can help and people who are interested in what I can help them do, and finding the folks that were a really good fit professionally in being able to help them accomplish their goals. So that video marketing piece and social marketing piece has been transformative in my business.
I really empathize with what you're saying, because I try to put out a lot of helpful content to people, and newsflash, I'm my own video editor right now. So not only do I have to sit and watch myself on video, but I have to edit myself on video, and It's terrible. I'm like, why was I born this way?
Right. Right. It really is just that scrutiny of one's own self and every single flaw and, incorrect grammar or stutter or all of these weird things that just happen, when you're talking as much as sometimes we talk when we're trying to do all the socials and all the media.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question that goes along with what you're saying. So you're producing content, you're trying to sort of stand out from other realtors, but I'm sure it's tough because there's so many realtors, and the question for people is, why should I go with you as my realtor as opposed to, I don't know how many are in the county, let's say 50, right?
700.
700 in Iron County? So how do you differentiate yourselves? If you have 10 people in the office or 15 people in the office, how do you differentiate your 15 from the other 685?
So this was a really, really interesting learning curve for me and a really interesting part of this journey. When I very first started and had the goal of starting to build this brand awareness and start connecting with people, I got some really, really great advice. And it was sit down and really go through who are the best customers for my business. Who is your avatar? They call it an avatar, and maybe I'm the only one that didn't know that. But so really define who your avatar is and speak to that person. And they find us, when I am speaking, when I'm giving information, when I'm talking about subdivisions or homes, I'm doing it in a way where I have a really kind of specific client in mind, and it works.
Yeah. So as you're going through that process, I think a lot of people have heard it said differently, whether it's an avatar, ideal client, ICP, all those things. When you're going through that process, what helped you figure out who your ideal client was?
Yeah. So it was actually a worksheet that
cool.
I got.
Okay.
And we had to go back and look at, say, the last 5 years worth of real estate transactions that we did. Who were those clients? Where did they come from? What are their demographics? Are they moving here to retire? Are they moving here for a job change? Who are the people that we have been working with already? And who are the people that we want to continue to work with? Who do we want to have be our client base? And it was really an extensive process of doing a deep dive into who we have been working with, what are our goals as far as where we want to take our business, and how can we make that a good fit for our fabulous clients who are here in the Cedar City area and also coming into the area.
Yeah. Well, if you guys want to see the result of hard work put into marketing, lots of thought process, I'm impressed as a marketer by the amount of work that you've put into the marketing. Go check out their socials. I'm going to put them in the description below, because I think that you guys will see the difference that happens when you do a lot of that foundational work of what pain points do I solve, who do I solve them for, and what's the best way I can serve the people that I want to serve.
Absolutely, well said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So last little bit, this has been awesome, by the way. Thank you so much.
you.
I hope that if you're watching, I hope you're like either taking notes or willing to watch it back, because this has been great. But the last question I like to ask, if you go back to 1998 and you just passed your real estate exam, you're eager and ready to sell your first house, what advice do you wish you had?
It took me a really long time to figure out how to define my business. What do I want out of my business? I was just kind of thrown into it. I didn't really have a mentor. I didn't really have great training. So if I could go back to 1998 and talk to my 27-year-old self, my advice would be right out of the gate, define what your goals are, whether that is a financial goal, a number of transactions goal, or a flexibility, being able to go to my kids' classrooms and be the school mom. If I could go back and really define what are my goals, I think I could have made a lot more progress a lot faster. So that would be my advice to any entrepreneur, to anybody starting a business. I mean, everybody can kind of get into business and say, hey, I'm a business person now. But I feel like it is so important to really define what your goals are and map out a plan, and then kind of work backwards from what your goals are. You know, if you have a financial goal, then how many real estate transactions do you need to do? How many buyers, how many sellers, how many contracts? What marketing is going to get me there? So for me, it would be really defining my goals and having a specific plan to get there, which I did not have for many, many years.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. That it's if you have something that your eyes on, like you said, you just sort of magnetize around that.
You
Like
really do.
it's that law of attraction. It's like whatever you want to call it, but I mean, our goal this year, we want to 3x what we did last year in my
Great.
business.
That's great.
And we know that that's an aggressive goal. Last year was our first full calendar year in business, so we wanted to 3x that, and so we have a clear roadmap.
Amazing.
And we're
That's
like,
perfect.
We know end of quarter one we have to be at this, end of quarter two we have to be at this. I've paid a business coach, she's helping us get the systems in place.
Perfect.
Like you said, when you have that big goal, you can start to break it down and say, okay, where do we have to be at each quarter,
Yeah.
and then each month, and then what do I have to do this week to get to that
And
month?
what do I do every single day that's going to move me toward that goal? And it just comes down to your daily schedule and habits. It's amazing.
And then you hit 1 or 2 check marks, you feel great, and you're
Yeah.
like, I've already made that amount of money. It doesn't even matter.
Exactly. You get that dopamine hit when you get to check off your box. I love it.
Exactly. Well, Jennie, this has been super fun. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I really appreciate your time. Guys, like I said, go check out their social media, go check out the YouTube channel. Go look at what it takes to really put together a good marketing campaign, because I think it sounds like you've done a lot of work together. That's
Thank
awesome.
you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Of course, yeah. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been another edition of Spotlight Southern Utah. We hope to see you again next week.